In this video, we are going to talk about the dark truth behind global surveillance. Is our privacy a myth? So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for the future updates. Rally in Washington, D.C. against mass surveillance. Susan Melchisethian. Some rights reserved. In recent weeks, two events have derailed the digital privacy community and online commentariat. In March, WikiLeaks released Vault 7, a series of leaks detailing the CIA's comprehensive program to surveil American citizens through such devices as smart TVs, web browsers, and operating systems. Since Snowden's leaks surfaced, Americans have learned that use of the 21st century internet poses a continuous tacit threat. An ISP like Verizon, AT&T, or Comcast has a tremendous capacity to deliver user information and browsing habits to governments and advertisers alike. Websites like Google or Facebook, so-called edge providers, can do the same, but only, ostensibly at least, when users are logged into their services. Yet most of the instances in which users are explicitly reminded of this threat are reactionary. The data exploitation they learn of is either long established, or, in the case of SJRes 34, conditions surrounding said exploitation have suddenly grown worse. Who cares? It's easy then to dismiss the issue of online privacy as one that simply flies under most Americans' proverbial radars. The Next Web did so in 2011 in an article entitled, "Do We Really Care About Our Online Privacy?" Based on the content of the article, Betteridge's law applies. Business Insider followed suit with 2012's hot take, "The Truth About Online Privacy. Who Cares?" as did Forbes in a post-Snowden 2014 with "Let's face it, we don't really care about privacy." The central conceit: Americans are more than willing to relinquish their personal data in exchange for the conveniences of photo storage, auto-populated search, and artificial intelligence assistants like Siri or Amazon Echo. And because there are often no perceived tangible consequences, they're not motivated to care. Consider, for example, Google's ad and user tracking settings. By default, users' activity across all Google applications, Gmail, YouTube, Google Chrome, Google Maps, and of course, the search engine, is tracked, soon metamorphosing into targeted advertising. In order not to see personalized ads, or to delete location history, or to clear YouTube search history, a user must navigate through a series of steps in their account settings to opt out. For many, this is neither instinctive nor urgent. Navigating to, say, the DA's consumer choice page to opt out of personalized ads within a browser is, to be generous, unintuitive. Similarly, users must sift through fine print to understand the security benefits an iOS software update confers, or to decipher the latest change to Facebook's privacy policy. When users don't know the internal contours of surveillance and data harvesting campaigns, they won't know how to obstruct them. While these measures are within a user's control, it's hard not to suspect that their convoluted nature is by design. It's this type of confusing framework that governments and advertisers can so easily capitalize on. When users don't know the internal contours of surveillance and data harvesting campaigns, they won't know how to obstruct them. Increasing user protections on an individual basis is at least a temporary solution to this problem. A number of digital rights organizations have sought to address the issue. The Tor project offers an encrypted operating system, Tails, and the web browser Tor, among other services, to aid online anonymity. Last year, the nonprofit AKCK*Blossom released the DIY Guide to Feminist Cybersecurity, which outlines strategies to avoid attacks ranging from harassment to phishing. Even Mozilla, the corporation behind the Firefox browser, has hopped on the cybersecurity education bandwagon. Government efforts and policy. While these efforts are of monumental importance, they're merely band-aids covering the wounds of privatization. Even before Trump's ascent to the presidency, the nature of internet oversight was historically laissez-faire, rendering the web an often predatory place ripe for commercial takeover. Governments have failed to regulate the internet as a public utility, furnishing it with unchecked invasive potential. Though the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, technically classified internet as a utility in 2015, it wasn't until late 2016 that the government barred ASPs from collecting such sensitive data as social security numbers and healthcare information without explicit user consent. A law Americans now won't see come to fruition anytime in the near future. The loss of such regulation is foreboding. These requirements were protocol for a communications utility or a phone company to eavesdrop on a user's call without that person's knowledge. It would be violating the law. Now, however, such strictures don't apply to internet providers. Historically, these companies' unfettered powers have behooved governmental bodies pushing forward mass surveillance programs. As the aforementioned leaks have demonstrated, federal agencies have colluded with talent from the privatized internet's most powerful data beneficiaries. Google, Facebook, and the like to clandestinely monitor their constituents' activity. The executive branch's prodigious surveillance powers, bolstered in large part thanks to the Obama administration, have ushered users into an era of unparalleled digital fragility. The burden of establishing online privacy has fallen on the individual civilian. And yet, ever since internet use became a staple of daily life, the burden of establishing online privacy has fallen on the individual civilian. Internet corporations justify their mass data acquisition with meticulously PR-veiled jargon about making the user experience relevant and personal. Similarly, governments do so with anti-terrorism propaganda, suggesting no real threat is posed if a citizen has nothing to hide. Both forces present themselves as serving the best interests of a public of law-abiding consumers. What they do is legitimate, worthy of being the default, they contend, and users who don't accept that can fend for themselves. The narrative of privacy apathy furthers this notion, betraying the idea that intrusive digital paradigms aren't ultimately that bad, that the stakes aren't actually that high, that there are no real, palpable effects to fear. Far too many Americans, however, can't afford to feel this way. Poor populations living in food deserts are marketed soda and cigarettes online. Law enforcement disrupts protests based on social media updates. Domestic violence survivors are stalked by abusers who can use the internet to find their locations. The suggestion that users simply disregard the concept of online privacy ignores the ills created by powerful circles, both public and private, and the people who are most vulnerable to them. The broadband privacy regulations instituted last year were a glimmer of hope for ethical internet policy. In requiring ISPs to receive express user consent before collecting highly personal data and allowing them to opt out of less sensitive data collection, the FCC acknowledged the need to transparently present users with the risks they incur whenever they go online. It placed the burden on companies, not individuals, to prevent sub-rosa data collection and protect user privacy. It's time for this to continue, for the onus to shift from the individuals who don't care to the behemoths that deliberately confuse and prey upon them. Only then will the internet begin to have any semblance of the democracy we once expected of it. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.